Hi everyone, and welcome to Bob's Wood Stuff. I just got this chisel online that is 1¼ inches wide. A new chisel is not ready to go right out of the box. You have to do some things, and I'll show you what you need to do. So with a brand new chisel, there's a couple of issues that need to be addressed in addition to just sharpening it. One of them is the fact that there are machining marks still in the back of the chisel from when it was made. I'll show you what this edge looks like under a microscope at 1000 times magnification. It's not good to have these machining marks on your chisel because they go all the way to the cutting edge and it will give you an uneven surface similar to a serrated knife. What I'd like to see here is either really smooth small scratches or no scratches at all because it's very highly polished. Another issue with brand new chisels is the fact that the back is not always completely flat, which is important to get a good cutting edge. So I'll test that on my lapping plate, which is sandpaper glued onto glass. What I'm going to do is lap the back of this, which means to flatten it against this piece of glass with sandpaper, and it will show me where it's hitting and if there's high spots or not. I can see here from the way that the metal has become shiny that it's touching all the way around here, but it's hollow in that area. That's really good because it means that the lapping plate is touching all the way across the cutting edge right here, and that's what you want. If it's not touching right here, you'll need to keep lapping it until it is, which can take a while on some chisels. Now I'll look at it with the microscope again to see if I've polished out these milling marks all the way to the edge, which I don't think I have. These areas, these deep scratches that go to the edge, are the milling marks. You can see that they've been partially polished out on the edge, but they're still there. Right here you can see that the milling marks have started to disappear, and that's what I want. I want to see this all the way to the edge. This is 220 grit sandpaper that I'm using. I'm putting quite a bit of downward pressure to keep this flat on my lapping plate. I want it to be lapped totally flat so there's no bevel on the back at all. So this is almost done. I can see that these milling marks end right about here, which is perfect, but they still are touching this corner here, so I've got a little bit more work to do until that corner is smooth like this corner. Sometimes the sandpaper can get really loaded up with metal filings, so you'll have to use a vacuum to clean it up. Still not quite there yet. This is taking a lot longer than I had hoped to get into that one corner, so I'm going to go back to the sandpaper on glass, but I'll use the coarser side, which is 80 grit sandpaper from a belt sander. You'll see some gray areas on there, and those are all particles of steel that are stuck to the sandpaper. It's still not quite there yet, but this is working faster, so I'll keep using this 80 grit sandpaper. I can feel that the chisel is starting to get quite warm, so I'm going to slow down a little bit because I don't want it to heat up too much. These are the scratch marks that were made by the 80 grit sandpaper. You see that they're quite coarse, but they are consistently sized. And this right here is the cutting edge. It's pretty straight, but it's not very smooth, so I intend to get it smooth. Also, there's a nick on one corner right here, which I think I'll be able to fix while I'm working the bevel. Now that this chisel has been flattened on the back and all the milling marks have been lapped out, I need to work the back and the bevel alternatingly. My favorite way to do that is to use a guide block like this that has one corner at 25 degrees and another corner at 35 degrees. I'll start with my coarsest stone and I'll work the back of it, and then I'll go to my second coarsest stone. I like to put a micro bevel on my chisels, which some people do, some people don't do. This is already ground at 25 degrees, so I'm going to put a micro bevel at 35 degrees. Having a micro bevel just makes it a little bit quicker to sharpen and quicker to grind the edge. And because this edge is nicked, I want to do that for sure. What I do is I decrease the amount of strokes on each side alternatingly until I get to 0. That way the burr gets progressively smaller until it's gone. Then I will use my block as a guide and hold my hand there and try to lock it in with my wrist at that exact angle. Transfer it over, go. So that glare that you see on the edge, that is the micro bevel. That is the part that I'll be sharpening as we go along. It's much faster when you have a micro bevel because I'm only sharpening that one small area. I'm not sharpening the whole bevel. So you can see on top of my sharpening stone that I have all these steel particles floating there on the water. This is why I need to occasionally wipe off the sharpening stone, because those particles will clog up the grit and prevent me from getting a good grind on my chisel. This is what the edge looks like right now after using the coarse stone. I can see very consistent strokes on it, which is exactly what I'm looking for, so I'll move on to the finer stone. Now I'm done using the fine stone, I'll move on to the extra fine stone. So this chisel should be really sharp now after going to the extra fine diamond stone, and I'll be able to make some really nice mortises with this 1¼ inch chisel. Here it is cutting the end grain of a piece of oak barrel. So that's pretty much it. That's how you get a new chisel and get it real sharp. In the future, I just need to touch it up with the fine and the extra fine stone. I won't have to do the coarse stones since it's already tuned up nicely. I hope that this helps some of you if you're getting new chisels, and thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I put a link to this chisel in the description as well as the sharpening stones. Bye.